Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 457 based on novel. So let's start. The skinny body was completely rotten. There was no skin, it only had traces of black flesh and blood. This no longer looked like a person but a corpse that had been rotting for countless years. There were blood vessels buried within the flesh that looked like they were struggling to remain alive. Only in the chest, where the blood vessels crossed, could a fist-sized dark red heart be seen. This heart was beating, however, what it released wasn't life force but a powerful death aura. A blood-red eye stared at Wang Lin, revealing a hint of anger and fear. The powerful aura of a fifth heaven's blight cultivator came from his body. This aura gathered the powerful death aura here and turned it into the screams of countless souls. It was as if the mournful souls were all roaring at Wang Lin. Even though the old man had released his fifth heaven's blight cultivation, he was far too weak in Wang Lin's eyes. Ignoring the death vortex formed by the Xiong family ancestor, Wang Lin descended into the gully and stepped into it. Just as his body entered, the vortex retreated as if it was afraid of getting close to Wang Lin. Seeing Wang Lin close in, the fear within the Xiong family ancestor became even stronger. He placed his right hand on his beating heart and bursts of roars quickly came from his mouth. With his right hand on his chest, all his death aura reversed and he used the great Qi Shi spell. The Qi Shi spell turned the death aura into life force by force. His rotten body started recovering rapidly. However, before he could use his Qi Shi spell, Wang Lin was less than 30 feet from the Xiong family ancestor. When Wang Lin got close, he casually pointed forward. Popping sounds echoed and the Xiong family ancestor's arms collapsed into rotting flesh. Intense pain washed over him and he quickly retreated out from the coffin. However, before he could escape far, Wang Lin pointed a second time. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the Xiong family ancestor's rotting legs collapsed. His body was dragged toward Wang Lin by a powerful suction force. All of this happened in an instant. A moment later, Wang Lin grabbed the head of the Xiong family ancestor. Wang Lin didn't waste time talking at all. His origin energy activated inside his body and he began using soul search to find the answer he was looking for. You dare to kill me? My Xiong family is a branch of the ancient Dongling family. This old man is from the branch family of the Dongling family. This old man is named Dongling Tai. You dare to kill me? There was madness under the fear in his eyes. He screamed loudly as Wang Lin began soul searching. You've destroyed planet Dongling and slaughtered tens of thousands of people on planet Dongling. You have offended the Dongling family, so you will die. Not only you, but all your friends and relatives will be destroyed. You dare to kill me? Noisy. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and the moment he spoke, a powerful force rushed into the Xiong family ancestor's body. Everything below the Xiong family ancestor's body collapsed. Wang Lin's hand held up the Xiong family ancestor's head and he continued his soul search. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. As he continued to soul search, he looked up and looked at the sky outside the gully. Rays of golden light appeared from thin air and spread in all directions. Soon, a golden gate appeared in the world. There were two ancient words on this golden gate. These two words were a name. The name of a family that had existed in all heaven and in the inner realm for far too long. Dongling. The moment the door appeared, a powerful might spread out from the gate. The gate slowly opened before Wang Lin's gaze and golden light shined out. A giant, golden shadow 10,000 feet tall walked out from inside the gate. This golden shadow was shining brightly. At a glance, it looked like a golden armored giant. Its body was extremely solid, as if it was real. Sir, you've destroyed planet Dongling. That is a crime punishable by death of 1,000 cuts. You've slaughtered the people of planet Dongling, committing a crime punishable by the destruction of your soul. You've harmed a member of my Dongling clan, which a heinous crime. With these 3 crimes combined, 9 generations of your family will be wiped out, the golden giant roared, then it raised its right hand. There was a flash of light and a 10,000-foot golden sword appeared and shot toward Wang Lin. Killing is killing, what's the point of all this nonsense? Today I'll kill. Anyone who dares to resist will die. Wang Lin squeezed his right hand and crushed the head of the Xiong family ancestor. He then jumped into the air and pointed at the descending golden sword with his right hand. This finger contained Wang Lin's ancient order power, his cultivation, and even his thunder and fire essences. A thunderous rumble echoed when it collided with the sword. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. After he pointed, there was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword flew out. The golden sword trembled violently and suddenly collapsed after colliding with Wang Lin's finger. Even the golden giant trembled and quickly retreated. Just at this moment, the blood sword closed in and pierced through the retreating golden giant. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the golden light seemed to explode from the giant before it collapsed. Golden light seemed to fill the world, and when the giant collapsed, an old man wearing a golden robe appeared below the gate. The old man's face was pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock. Wang Lin's one finger and sword had broken his god illusion and forced his original body to appear. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he flew out from the gully and looked at the golden-robed old man. The golden-robed old man had surpassed the fifth heaven's blight and was half a step into the third step, like esteemed Ling Dong in the past. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and his white hair fluttered. The aura of a master spread out from him as he slowly said, "I have killed enough today. I'm going to leave. Are you going to stop me?" The golden-robed old man revealed a complicated expression as he looked at Wang Lin. After a long time, he clasped his hands and said, "Your Excellency is powerful and this old man doesn't have the ability to stop you. However, you have destroyed planet Dongling and broken the law of the clan. I must report this to the clan, and what happens after will be decided by the elders." Wang Lin's expression was calm. If the cultivators of planet Dongling hadn't tried to stop him, he wouldn't have killed them. Should he have just allowed them to attack him without fighting back? If others don't offend me, I won't offend them. Behave! Wang Lin's cold gaze swept over the old man. His words weren't directed at the old man, he was looking at the half-open golden gate behind the old man. Then Wang Lin turned around and stepped toward the stars. Ripples echoed and Wang Lin disappeared. Only after Wang Lin left did the golden-robed old man cough out blood as he could no longer suppress his injuries. There was a bloody mark on his chest where blood flowed out. The old man's face was extremely pale as he was seriously injured. He was on the edge of death after Wang Lin's one finger and sword. Thinking back now, he still felt lingering fear. A sigh came from behind the old man. As the light distorted, a person walked out from the gate. This person also wore a golden robe, but he was a middle-aged man. "Why didn't you attack?" The old man in the golden robe pressed his hand against his chest and looked back at the middle-aged man. "The ancestor said that once planet Dongling is destroyed, my Dongling clan will appear once more. It will be a calamity for the Dongling clan." That person was not only able to notice me, he also gave a warning. He is not simple. The middle-aged man shook his head and looked at the direction where Wang Lin departed. "Our cultivation levels aren't very different, neither of us have truly entered the third step. Even if I had attacked, I'm afraid I wouldn't have kept him here. My cultivation is a bit strange, so I can feel something you can't." In his body, I felt the aura of 2 third-step cultivators. I fear he only used a small portion of his strength in that short battle against you. How could I fight him? Let's go, there are very few people left in our clan. Only the 2 of us have awakened. With that, the middle-aged man was suddenly shocked. He looked back along with the old man in the golden robe. A shocking aura came out from the half-open gate. Joy appeared in their eyes and they entered the gate without hesitation. Only the golden gate remained motionless in the world. It was a world of ice inside the gate. There was a world in here, but everything was frozen, even the clouds. A number of continents floated around, forming giant glacier in the world. The sharp icicles were like sharp swords. A woman was sitting on a frozen continent in the center of the area. The woman was beautiful, but her face was filled with coldness. Her body had been frozen along with the continent, but at this moment, her eyes suddenly opened. The moment her eyes opened, stars began to appear between her eyebrows and began to rotate. A powerful ancient god aura spread out. The two cultivators in golden robes entered the frozen world and rushed here. They respectfully floated above the continent the woman was on. The two of them suppressed the excitement in their hearts and said in unison, "Welcome back from your closed-door cultivation, Elder Shen." This woman was even more beautiful than Mu Bingmai. Although she didn't smile, she could cause the hearts of cultivators to beat faster with just one gaze. Yin energy was gathering between her eyebrows, making her very different from other women. She had her own charm. When she opened her eyes, they looked like they contained the stars. People couldn't help but lose themselves in her gaze. Cracking sounds echoed across the frozen continent and soon covered the entire continent. All the ice collapsed and scattered in all directions. The woman took a deep breath and her ancient stars began to rotate faster. Powerful ancient god energy filled her body. After a long time, her eyes shined and her delicate-looking hand formed a fist. A powerful rumble echoed from her palm and shook the surroundings. As she gripped her fist, the stars between her eyebrows stopped, revealing 7 purple stars. 7-star ancient god. 7-star female ancient god. When her identity as an ancient god was revealed, it all made sense. Why Master Yi Mu had gone after the Moongazer serpent. Why Wang Lin would have all his life force taken by the Xiong family ancestor. The life force that was taken was ancient god life force. Although Wang Lin didn't know all of this, he understood most of it as he moved through all heaven. After looking through the Xiong family ancestor's memories, Wang Lin had learned that the vitality the ancestor had absorbed was to satisfy his own greed due to his cultivation method. He also didn't intend to let Wang Lin leave alive. In truth, the moment Wang Lin entered planet Dongling, the Xiong family ancestor saw the resentment of someone from the Xiong family on Wang Lin. After savoring the resentment, he knew which family member it was. Even without this resentment, the Xiong family ancestor would have still absorbed Wang Lin's vitality. Although Wang Lin wasn't fused with his original body at the time, the powerful vitality revealed through the connection with his original body made the Xiong family ancestor thirst for it. However, just as he was absorbing the Wang Lin's vitality and was about to kill Wang Lin, an order came from the ancient Dongling family. The ancestor didn't dare to disobey, so he gave up the idea of killing Wang Lin. He absorbed a large amount of ancient god life force from Wang Lin's original body. Wang Lin had learned all of this from searching the Xiong family ancestor's soul. Along with Master Yi Mu's action back then, he speculated a few matters. Ancient Dongling family, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he looked back into the distance. Inside that family, there is an ancient god. I just don't know if this ancient god was originally an ancient god or someone who obtained an inheritance like me. Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time before he withdrew his gaze and walked forward. I have already conveyed my warning, so don't mess with me. Out of the 4 matters, 2 of them are resolved. Now for the 3rd matter. The Yao family's blood god. Wang Lin looked calm, but the killing intent in his eyes hadn't faded yet. Blood god chased after me back in the day. If not for Brother Qing Shui, my avatar would have died. How can I forget? Also, blood god has an ancient demon inside him. My ancient demon avatar needs ancient demon power right now. In addition, although I didn't make a promise to that girl from the Yao family, I did make a promise in her dream, which left behind karma. Right now it's time I take care of that. Wang Lin disappeared into the distance. Planet Dongling was broken and all the families on the planet had collapsed. The sounds from the battle on planet Dongling spread and this was quickly known by the cultivators in all heaven. Planet Dongling was the most fierce planet in all heaven. Its collapse and destruction was enough to shock all of all heaven. At this moment, in the southern part of all heaven, there was a group of 100 cultivators silently moving forward. There was a female cultivator among them. This woman was no longer young, she looked like a middle-aged woman. Her face contained the traces of time as she silently moved with this group of cultivators. Although her face was middle-aged, one can vaguely see that she was beautiful in her youth. there was still some residual charm remaining. All of this was on the pretense that she didn't have so many shocking scars on her face. These scars covered up everything. Dark red scars were crisscrossed across this originally beautiful face. The deep gullies of flesh left behind only a hideous and terrifying face. It made people not want to get too close to her. These scars couldn't be removed by ordinary spells. She had slowly drawn these scars on her face time and time again after they healed. It was as if these scars had been slowly engraved into her soul. Her cultivation level wasn't very high, only corporeal young. But her body gave off a deep sense of exhaustion and confusion. Her family members had almost all died in the battle against the Alliance. Even the ancestor that loved her the most was seriously injured in the war and then died to the ancient god around planet Suzaku to save her. Her entire family had collapsed. After the war ended, she returned to All Heaven tired and injured, but her family no longer existed. She shed tears at her collapsed family's home and then silently left. She silently cultivated alone and became a homeless person. It was very difficult for a woman to survive in the somewhat chaotic All Heaven after the war. Although she still had some friends, once her family collapsed, what was the use? At that time, she was still young and had beautiful face. There were many people who wanted her beauty, and many promised she could continue her cultivation. It was difficult for a weak woman to survive without humiliation, and her beauty was lusted after by many. She was just like the Lu Fei Yan in the Origin sect, but she was even more decisive. She had personally destroyed her beautiful face, thus stopping people from lusting after her. A beauty was born unlucky, and maybe after destroying her beauty the bad luck would leave. She didn't forget her desire from her past. She wanted to become like the ancestor, to become a powerful female cultivator. To have her own world in All Heaven. However, this wish became further and further away from her. If not for that figure in her heart, she would have long become someone else's furnace, giving up her body in exchange for the protection and the right to continue her cultivation. However, that figure prevented her from humiliating herself. She refused to let herself sink that low. Although that person may have forgotten about her and didn't even remember her name, she still remembered. She couldn't forget that figure leading the cultivators out of the collapsing Thunder Celestial realm. She couldn't forget the figure fighting the messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple. Even more so, she couldn't forget that figure that shocked all heaven and became the Thunder Celestial. Even though that person didn't know she was among the surrounding bystanders. That person might not know the joy she felt in her heart. In the past 800 years, every time she felt sad, she would think of that figure and give herself the courage to continue to struggle. The past was like smoke, and it quickly flashed through her mind. Soon, a cultivation planet filled with spiritual energy appeared before them. The group of cultivators stopped outside the cultivation planet. The leader was a middle-aged man who looked off. He looked at the cultivators behind him and revealed a hint of loathing when he saw the woman. Cultivators often cherished the flesh. The flesh was the root of cultivation. Many found methods to keep themselves looking young. Although they couldn't live forever, they continued to look for methods to stay young. There were many people as ugly as her. Also, she was only a corporeal young cultivator with no family backing, so she could be bullied without consequence. Shizifan, use your origin soul to shape the trajectory of this planet. This middle-aged man was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scrya, and his words contained a sense of indisputable majesty. He had known this woman for a long time, and he was someone who once sought her beauty. However, it was because of this that every time he saw her ugly appearance, the more discomfort he felt. To move a cultivation planet, one needed to first use their origin soul to shake it off its trajectory. When the trajectory was changed, the rebound force would injure one's origin soul greatly. Shizifeng silently pondered and her face turned pale. A moment later, she respectfully clasped her hands and said in a hoarse voice, "Lord Messenger, I have shaken the last 3 planets off trajectory with my origin soul and my injuries haven't recovered. Can I?" Before Shizifeng finished speaking, the middle-aged man frowned and snorted. Shizifeng's body trembled and bit her lower lip. She no longer spoke and turned toward the cultivation planet. Some of the nearly 100 cultivators behind her couldn't bear it and could only let out a sigh. Almost 1,000 years ago, the Shi family was very large, even if it wasn't a top family. The direct descendant of the Shi family, the beautiful and charming Shizifen, ended up like. Fate is cruel. This Shizifen is a rare, firm and persistent woman. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. There is nothing to feel pity about. After the war, many people ended up more miserable than her. Shizifen bit her lower lip and flew toward the planet filled with spiritual energy. She closed her eyes, but there were no tears. Her tears had long dried up over the past 800 years. Her cultivation slowly activated and a gentle light spread out from her body. Her origin soul created a thread of divine sense that moved toward the cultivation planet that had already been evacuated. In an instant, a divine sense seemed to connect with the cultivation planet. Her face was pale as she clenched her teeth and her divine sense pulled. This cultivation planet immediately rumbled and its slow rotation stopped due to the pull of her divine sense. However, the moment it paused, an unimaginable rebound force appeared and charged mercilessly at Shizifen's divine sense. Shizifen coughed out blood. The divine sense that had split off from her origin soul wasn't able to bear the rebound force, and it began to tear down the middle. Her face was deathly pale and she retreated hundreds of feet. Her origin soul flew out once more to form the thread of divine sense. The thread flew toward the planet and pulled once more. The intense rumble echoed and the planet showed signs of changing trajectory. However, the rebound force was even more intense than before. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, Shizifen's divine sense collapsed once more. This collapse caused Shizifen's divine sense to collapse layer by layer, and her origin soul was knocked back into her body. She coughed out blood as her body trembled, and she looked like she couldn't even stand. Her face was ashen and her eyes became dim. Unless trash. With a cold snort, the Thunder Celestial Temple messenger flew past Shizifen and waved his sleeves. His origin soul formed a thread of divine sense and connected to the planet. With a roar, he pulled the planet out from the trajectory it had been on for countless years. The middle-aged man's hand reached out as if he was holding onto the planet, and he roared, "Move the planet." The near 100 cultivators all charged forward and silver lines flew out, forming a net around the planet. They all pulled at the same time to move the planet. Only one old man let out a sigh as he passed Shizifen. He took out a bottle of pills and quickly passed it to Shizifen. Fellow cultivator Shizi, this old man was also brought out of the Thunder Celestial Realm by him back then, the old man whispered as he walked past Shizifen. Shizifen silently took the pills and revealed gratitude. The bottle contained precious pills that could help speed up her recovery. Over the past 800 years, her family and friends had helped her less than those people that were saved by Wang Lin in the Thunder Celestial Realm. If not for them, Shizifen's path would have been even more difficult. What are you standing there for? Come here and move this planet. A waste is a waste. You had a good face, but then you had to destroy it. If you had agreed to my request, you wouldn't have ended up like you are today. The middle-aged man from the Thunder Celestial Temple sneered. The old man who had given her the pills before couldn't hold back anymore, and he retorted, "Lord Messenger, fellow cultivator Shizi has also joined the Thunder Celestial Temple. Although her cultivation is lacking, she has the same status as us. She has already shaken a number of planets off their trajectory and is still injured. Why do you force her to continue? Let her recover a bit." The middle-aged man's eyes lit up and he looked at the old man. "This messenger doesn't need you to point out the things I do." The old man was only at the early stage of Nirvana Scrya, so he felt a huge pressure from the middle-aged man that was staring at him. However, the old man clenched his teeth and sneered. "You also know that fellow cultivator Shizi loved him. When he was around, did you dare to be like this?" After the old man spoke, the middle-aged man revealed a fierce gaze and his mind trembled. He naturally knew who that person was. He still remembered everything that happened during the competition. Back then, that person was only at the corporeal young, but he was still an existence he looked up to. He didn't dare to show any disrespect before that person. That person had risen up during the war with the Alliance. That person had become famous in both All Heaven and the Alliance, and the middle-aged man had to admit that he was but an ant before that person. He is long gone, he could even be dead." Before the middle-aged man finished speaking, the old man interrupted him with a sneer. "What if he comes back?" This sentence caused the middle-aged man to silently ponder. After a long time, he let out a cold snort and waved his hand. He shouted, "You sure have a lot of words. You and Shizifan, go move that planet." The old man looked at the middle-aged man and no longer spoke. He joined the cultivators that were moving the planet. Shizifan still silently pondered. She gave up healing and moved forward. She clenched her teeth and split a thread of her origin soul into a silver thread to attach to the planet. She slowly moved with the crowd, pulling the planet. The middle-aged man was in the front and his expression was gloomy. He was a bit restless from the old man's words. "What if he comes back?" These words lingered in his ears. A line of nearly 100 people slowly flew forward, pulling the planet with them. They gradually went further and further away. However, shortly after, a white figure appeared before them. He had a head of white hair that fluttered as he slowly moved forward. Although he looked slow, every step he took crossed an immeasurable distance. In just a few steps, the white figure closed in, and an almost suffocating aura spread out. A moment later, this pressure disappeared and the white figure disappeared before everyone's eyes. All of this happened in a flash. It was so fast that no one could react. They felt like it was a mere illusion. Everyone trembled and terror filled their eyes. The middle-aged man in front was startled for a moment and was filled with shock. However, before they could awaken from their shock, they heard a soft exclamation that echoed through space. This sound entered the ears of everyone and shook their minds. Their expressions changed and they quickly retreated. Shizifan trembled. Although that voice was soft, it was enough to cause her to collapse. Her mind trembled violently. She subconsciously wanted to look up, but she held herself back and instead lowered her head even more. She backed up to hide inside the crowd of cultivators. An inexplicable emotion filled her body, and she didn't want to be seen. As the soft exclamation echoed, the white figure that had disappeared reappeared before them and his gaze swept toward them. Under this gaze, no one could clearly see this figure. It was as if this figure was a radiant sun, so no one dared to look at it. The middle-aged man at the front trembled. Under that light, it was as if everything inside him had stopped. Even his origin soul was suppressed inside his body and he didn't dare to move an inch. It was as if this gaze had become solid and was holding his neck and origin soul. It felt like this person only needed one thought for this body to explode and his origin soul to be erased. This was an existence that was beyond their understanding. Sen. Senior, the middle-aged man had the highest cultivation level and was also the closest to the figure in white. His body became soft and he unexpectedly knelt down. His voice trembled as if he wanted to say something. This white figure was Wang Lin. Wang Lin originally didn't care about this group of cultivators, but when he passed by, he felt a person. A woman who once felt love for him. However, if the woman was the same as before, he wouldn't have paid any heed, but when he saw her now, he felt pain in his heart. The cultivators before him disappeared from his vision, leaving only the one figure hiding with her head lowered. A trembling woman with a pale face. Even though she had her head lowered, he could clearly see the hideous scars on her face. Wang Lin silently pondered. Shizifan bit her lower lip. In these 800 years, she thought her tears had dried up and could not flow anymore. However, today, at this moment, 2 streams of tears flowed down her cheeks. However, they didn't go down a straight line but entered the gully-like scars on her face and changed directions. She wanted to hide, she didn't want this person to see her. It was a very complicated emotion, and she was very different from the past her. She would rather die alone from old age than being seen in such a sorry state. She didn't want him to see her ugly face. Tears continued to flow as she lowered her head even more and subconsciously retreated more and more. To hide among the people, to hide at the end of the world, to hide in a place where no one could see her, where she silently touched her own memories, silently wipe away the tears she had forgotten. Wang Lin looked at the middle-aged woman who was retreating and softly said, "Shizifan. I am Wang Lin." He had forgotten what year, month, And day it was when that bright face smiled and looked at him from the crowd. The face that had slowly become old and injured was staring at him. The moment he said his name, the nearly 100 cultivators were shaken. The middle-aged man in front lost all traces of blood on his face and his heart seemed to stop beating. Even his origin soul seemed to collapse, and he lost his wits from hearing that name. Wang Lin. A name that once shook all heaven. I'm not Shizifeng. Senior has made a mistake, the retreating woman said in a trembling voice as if she had nowhere to escape to. This video will end here.